system to endocrine system, so on and so forth. And that is one of the reasons why they're just like, sometimes you just don't know what they're going to do in the body. We just people calling up and just going, just going like, oh, I had this like brain injury, like I've cracked my skull and there's a little bit of trauma in my brain. I just haven't been able to bring any connection to that area. And I've had lots and lots of, I just took mushrooms like a week and I'm feeling connection and activity. And it's the first time I've actually felt that. It was like far out, who knew? They're just like they're a spanner in the works. Sometimes they like some, that's definitely not like, it doesn't blow everyone's head off, like I was like, for me, it was like hey, yeah, I'm feeling good. I took them for a couple of months and I could feel my immune system building. I felt great. I really love these herbs. It wasn't just this like, whoa. We had a woman who had a stroke, write to us, and she said that she had a stroke 2 years ago, and this isn't promises or anything, by the way. This is just like I have an opportunity to share with you, and so I like sharing in these instances. I'm a lot more ambiguous with the way that I talk about these herbs, and when I'm sharing in a way, unless I'm with friends like you guys. And she's like couldn't smell for 2 years, and it was like, cool, that's it. And I empathize with that. My mother had an aneurysm 6 years ago. And has like much heavier injuries, like aphasia and atrophy on the right side of the body, 24-hour care, like brain damage, all that kind of stuff. But she's still rocking it. Lion's mane. This woman with the stroke took lion's mane, and after one serving of a teaspoon of lion's mane extract, her smell came back. Like bang.
Yeah. Wow.
And we were all like far out. Like who would have knew? Who would have known? Like I'm not going to go out there now and say, oh my gosh, everyone, if you've got if you've got this problem, lion's mane's going to, like, it just doesn't work like that. But, they're not silver bullets, but far out. They can be like, sometimes they're just like a missing piece. They're like all of a sudden you feed the immune system or the fascia, bring some polysaccharides, beta glucans into the digestive system and activate these immunity lines, activate these these receptors within deep immune tissue, and all of a sudden it can feed something. It can feed, bring some of those beta glucans to the extracellular fluid so they can hold information once more, and things can just start get connected. So I think that's a reason they're getting huge right now, because they're just like, people like far out. Who knows what's going to happen? That's exactly what medicine should be, supporting the environment, or an aspect of medicine should be like, what exactly it is going to be. I don't know. I don't know what happens when you start restoring the integrity of your body. And I think people like that. People don't want the promises. A little bit of the practical information is good. Yeah, they're good for, building up the immune system, not necessarily stimulating the immune system, building up to make it nice and strong. Reishi, very good for cardiovascular health and for white blood cell count. Chaga has a lot of melanin in it, feeds the pineal gland, so it helps the endocrine system, helps drive viruses out of the thyroid, helps really protect the skin, has a crazy amount of antioxidants, and so can really get in and protect the body from oxidative stress, as well as them being very, very strong. I won't even say the C word, but just like go and look at the research between medicinal mushrooms and C word. And so there are things there that we can go, yeah, there's very practical information, there's protocols, when we need them, right, we need a protocol, we need dosages. But on the other side of that, for long term, because you do try and do that short term, you get boring. That's where you get boring. You try and do that like long term. It's that, it's in long term, it's just like, well, they're just a food. I don't need to know exactly what grapes and mangoes are doing in my diet. I know they're like doing something when they're in an appropriate dose and an appropriate season. These mushrooms can be integrated. They're herbs that can be integrated into a lifestyle. At the same time, they're prebiotic to the bacteria, good bacteria within our body, which is amazing at what they're doing for people's digestive health. They are antifungal despite being fungi themselves, and almost have that energetic and that psychology for them to be able to get one up on little shit delinquent Candida albicans fungus within the body and fungal infection, because basically that is just a suppressed immune system. So when you hear people say you can't take any mushrooms when you have Candida or when you have C word, they're talking about culinary ground moist mushrooms, not these woody tree mushrooms, right? That are basically they're filtering and eating the trees and making trees basically edible to us, and bringing some fungi medicinals to us, and nutrition to us at the same time. I feel like that's why they're getting so huge right now, and it's just, I don't know, it's just like there's a bit of magic around them as well. It's enchanting, if you want to talk about bringing that childishness and that lightness back to us.
Yeah.
I know I was having a bit of a joke and taking a piss a little bit when everyone was, earlier with, and just like, everyone's just saying, get over yourselves, you're just eating mushroom penises. But at the same time is an enchanting, childhood kind of story. Fairies sitting on the reishi mushroom, around the hemlock, sitting around the hemlock, and like trees, and there's like a crossing over of realms occurring a lot of the time where mushrooms grow prolifically, and so there's a little bit of that magic, and everyone needs a little bit more of that magic in their lifestyle, or in their hot chocolate or their soup. And they're not heat sensitive; they can be integrated into a kitchen, into meals, and you can blend it up with your hot tea and drink it in a hot chocolate. You can add it to the coffee to stop the coffee from smashing your adrenals, and that's why they're going well as well. It's a good enough delivery system. If people are drinking coffee, add adaptogens in. It's just going to make your life so much easier. Mums I've spoken to for years, I had to get comfortable having a company, because in the beginning it was like very much not a businessy person, just a complete creative person who was like, just starting to offering these things because it was just the demand was so strong. And mums coming up and going, look, I'd like to feed my kids and ourselves some stuff, so our immune systems are a bit stronger this winter. Hopefully you don't get as sick, or I do maybe not even get the flu. Cool, doing lots of things, and they're like, oh, you know what, I'd like some mushrooms as well. And cool, and I'm like, I'll teach you how to go and harvest them from the forest. And they're like, oh, mate, look, no, I've got a full-time job and 4 kids. I'm not interested. Can you just please hook me up with that powdered extract that's behind you? I'm like, okay. And then like, all right, how are we going to get into these kids? And it's like, all right, no, chocolates sometimes aren't working. A lot of them do it. This is this particular woman, Trish, right back in the early days when I was doing markets. And like, no, green smoothies aren't working. I think two of her children had slight autism, and so it was just like, they just wanted white and brown foods, especially, which we found out didn't include our medicinal mushroom hot chocolates in the brown foods category. And so eventually one day she came back really celebrating, and I was like, oh, cool, she got them in. How'd you get them in? And she's like, yeah, spag bowl. It was like whacked a tablespoon. She's like, I'm beyond caring. So my family's been so sick, and we're like, well, how much should I take? And it's like a good question in the beginning with most. So just start slow, quarter teaspoon, work up to like a maintenance dose of half a teaspoon. But at some point it gets to like, well, how many grapes should I take? It's like, well, you just generally know, you know what's too many grapes. You start to feel it. It might take a couple of years to get to that point, or a couple of months, maybe a couple of weeks for you if you're sensitive. But she was just like, well, tablespoon in a spag bowl. And had some good success, like she said, family just only got the flu, lasted for a week rather than 3 weeks generally, or something like that, and wasn't as severe. And that's been integrated, like all of a sudden it's like it tastes good, it's like it's almost like a stock cube, like a beef stock cube.
Yep.
You realize, adding it into to spag bowl for all things, and all of a sudden that was in the flow of her kitchen, in the romance of her kitchen, in the romance of nourishing the family, and so it was like, it wasn't just this chore sitting on the side or a thing to tick off the list. It was integrated. And that's why I think medicinal mushrooms are really doing that, and tonic herbs in general. I'm working tirelessly to bring that bigger vision for them to be integrated into our lives the same way we have, spices integrated into our lives. They'll sit there, their own little shelf in the kitchen, your tonic herbs, maybe a couple are hanging up, and you'll weave them into your life in one way or another.
Yeah, thanks for talking about that, because that's something I guess I was curious about. How do we integrate this? Because there's all this, this wisdom in plants, all this intelligence and stuff, and because our society, like we're Western society, we're so disconnected from that, as you've already gone over. But yeah, I guess that's a major thing because we can know all this information, but then it's like, well, what's the point of knowing it if we can't integrate it?
Yeah, that's it. I think I'm really happy you bring it up, and I want to like hit it again because, again, because I like to ground these conversations, we've gone over the magic and the fact that these mushrooms are also, crossing over into the realms of fairies and gnomes, and it's beautiful. At the same time, consistent, like with anything that's going to absolutely transform your body into something that, you couldn't even like recognize, that is going to come through consistent, dedicated action again and again and again. Yep. Compliance is everything. And it's like just like learning something, a practical way that is going to be like able to be like, these herbs are going to be able to be used where it's not a chore. It becomes almost unconscious that you've weaved them into your lifestyle. That's the key. And so whether it's in your, if you're doing a bulletproof coffee anyway and you're loving it, like add mushrooms in there. Or better yet, maybe you can add some mushrooms, but add some Jing herbs. Jing herbs being the herbs that nourish kidney and adrenal essence especially, which is the seat of our capacity to regenerate. When the Jing runs out, that's generally when we enter into that death cycle of degeneration because we don't have the capacity to regenerate tissues, cells, sex hormones, so on and so forth. Add Jing herbs into the coffee. It will absolutely, I guarantee, it'll be a game changer to some extent, whether it's a big extent or a huge one. Generally, if you find yourself reliant on a stimulant or a type of herb like coffee, it can be a big awakening when you get onto, say, something like a Jing herb, like Hishu Wu, it's a root yin herb, Eucomia bark, yang herb, cordyceps mushrooms, Jing athletic herb, and I won't go on, but if you start incorporating these herbs in, that they'll have a direct effect and bring some direct medicine in that'll nourish the kidneys and adrenals and bring constitutional energy, but they will help you regenerate the tissue strength and function and integrity, along with other practices, ideally some like hydration and good sleep and sustainable lifestyle, not being too stressful. The true medicine there is over the months, especially if you're exhausted or tapped out, which a lot of people are, you get to feel and perceive that journey to your organ function coming back online. And so although you can and probably will want to continue to interact with an external thing like a herb, a Jing herb, and take that external thing, which will have some chemical and energetic effects, the internal medicine and world, which is going to be happening at the same time, is that perception that you can feel, where you build your energy back and you get more fine-tuned to understanding when you are close to, burning candle at both ends too much and getting into being tapped out, so on and so forth. That's that's the medicine. It's not necessarily the herb itself. Not saying it's not the herb. Remember, but that's what excites me the most, because there's sovereignty there. No one can take that away from you then. And it also helps you not hand over too much power to the herb in itself and say, that herb was completely the thing that did that. It just becomes like a friend. Like when a friend helps you through a hard time, they were integral to an extent because they supported you big time and allowed you to do what you needed to do to get back on your feet. But you did it. You were the one that did it. And people can't, unless you feel it, they don't get it when it comes to their health. And we're using the example here of energy, adrenal, kidney function. People don't get it that you can build back your Jing, your essence, your capacity to regenerate tissue. And especially coming from the kidneys, your lower back strength, your hip strength, your knee strength. Does it take dedication? Absolutely. Does it happen overnight? Absolutely not. It takes serious, you've got to, dig your heels in and really, and get consistent. But it can happen. That's transformational. Just even knowing that and feeling that. So that's the real plant medicine I feel like I like tapping into and sharing.
Yeah. I guess the idea of, not giving your power over to the plant and it's your body. I think that's the idea of a companion plant, isn't it? It just, activates certain parts of your body so that your body can function as it's meant to.
Absolutely. You hit it. It's a companion, and you haven't handed your power over to it, but there is an acknowledgement for the role